So men who have failing relationships, typically failing marriages, will end up most likely having failing businesses. Now, I'd hate to generalize, so this isn't the case in every single situation, but we have seen a trend, and it's a very common trend, where men who have relationships or marriages that are not working out, eventually it impacts their business, and their business will either crash and burn, it'll slow down, they'll lose passion for it, and it'll just slowly die. Or one day the guy wakes up and he says, I don't want to do this anymore, and it's a fire sale for the business. And that's not something you want to do, because you want to be able to exit your business properly. You want to have a plan in place. You want to get the highest valuation for your business. You want to make sure that you leave on a high, not on a low. And so it's very important to keep your home life straight, or to be well aware of how your home life is impacting your business. We've worked with men where they've said, through our work, we've identified that they were no longer motivated or didn't have the energy or drive because of their failing relationship. We've worked with them because at the beginning, they're like, they don't know what's wrong. Their business isn't growing the way they want it to be. And when we've gotten down, we peeled back the layers and actually done a root cause analysis. It's because they weren't leading at their full potential. They weren't growing their skill level. They didn't have the highest level of drive and motivation and continue to drive that business forward. And ultimately, it was a result of not having a successful marriage. And we don't want to fool ourselves, guys, because our marriage is a big part of our lives. And when we don't have that energy, that drive from the woman that we are supposed to be in love with, the woman that we're supposed to have passion for, the woman that we want to or should be wanting to spend the rest of our lives with, it absolutely impacts our ability to lead our business or businesses. So that element, that distinction, is very important to make early on when your relationship isn't going well. Because if you catch that early, you're going to catch a lot of problems or potential problems before they actually happen in your business. It does happen. Your marriage, if there's problems in your marriage, will lead to problems in your business. You got to solve that. For those of you who are seasoned in having a marriage with problems, you already know this. You already know that it's impacting your business. You already know that you're making decisions that you probably would be making differently if you had a solid marriage. Why? Because guys who are struggling in their marriage are constantly asking themselves this: what happens if our marriage falls apart? Do I have to pay her half my wealth, or maybe even more? Am I going to get screwed by the legal system? And I'm going to give up all of this blood, sweat, and tears I put in over the years and give half to her, when maybe you feel this way? Maybe you feel like she doesn't deserve it. And even if you do want to be amicable and be fair and give her half, maybe you don't feel like she's going to leave on positive terms. Maybe she's going to be vindictive and take you for a lot more than you want her to have. And maybe you're even thinking, well, what's going to happen with the kids, especially if you have young kids? What's going to happen with them? Is she going to get custody? Is some other guy going to be raising your kids? Right? These are all questions that guys face. And this is a reality of life. Unfortunately, relationships can be tough if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't advance your skills in a relationship, maybe even if you have been married to the wrong person. And that can happen. And what ends up happening is you end up ruminating over all of those questions. And once you ruminate over all those questions, you make ineffective decisions in your business. And that's ultimately what ends up happening. You lose drive, you lose the ability to make effective or the most effective decisions that you should be making. And your business can either do one of two things. It can fall apart very fast, or it can fall apart very slowly. And both of those are very painful, and you don't want both of those. So what is the solution to this? The solution is you got to deal with your relationship challenges right now. You can't wait for them or to deal with them a year from now. You can't wait to deal with them 5 years from now, because here's another thing that guys do. Well, let me just see if things get better. Chances are they're not. If they're bad now, they're going to get worse later. Or, if I avoid this, Maybe there's a different way out of this. Maybe a magic solution is going to appear. Maybe I don't have to make a tough decision. I'm sorry to say, but business and life is all about making decisions. And sometimes they're tough decisions. You're going to have to make a decision that you may not like to make. For example, you may need to be the one that leaves a relationship because it's not healthy for you. Or maybe you just need to put your foot down and say things have to change, whether it's relationship counseling, therapy, whatever it is. But I always encourage couples to do the best they can, to put in every ounce of effort, because breaking a family apart, I believe, my personal belief, is that it's not a good thing. But I also don't believe that two people should stay together because of keeping the family together, because I think that sets a bad example for the children and sets them up for failure. You want to be in a relationship with a person that you love, that you enjoy being around, a person that adds value to your life, a person that you want, that you say, I just can't think of a life without this person. That's the kind of relationship you should have. And in all fairness, your spouse deserves that as well. So if you're not showing up 110% the way you should be, then you need to take a look at yourself. And ultimately, what's the point of this entire conversation? The whole point is that if you are having challenges in your relationship, deal with it now, because it will impact your financial situation. It will impact your business situation. And then ultimately, it's going to hit you a lot harder than what you thought. You got to deal with it now. One of the biggest causes, I come from the banking sector, and I know this. One of the biggest causes, one of the top causes of bankruptcy is divorce. The majority of times when we were dealing with insolvency and bankruptcy, it's because a couple was getting divorced. They were no longer on the same page financially, emotionally, how they dealt with their family, and eventually came back. And so you need to deal with that right now. The sooner you deal with it, the more successful your business will be, the better your chances of having a successful marriage, and you will have a more fulfilling life. So if you have those problems, deal with them right now.